All right. So there's a lot of really bad deck names in Legacy, but Unplayable Chunderbucket Pile probably takes the cake as the worst deck name ever. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and we're going to flash back to a much younger ThrabenU. Back when I really wasn't making individual thumbnails for videos, so this was probably circa early 2020, something like that, maybe 2019 even. And I was asked to play this deck once upon a time, which the donor at the time dubbed the Unplayable Chunderbucket Pile. And at the time, Oko was legal, so the format was miserable, and you could get away with playing a lot of really dumb things as long as you shoved Oko and maybe some fast mana into your deck. And Andrew has tasked me with updating this deck with about 5 years of power creep. So, if you asked me what makes this deck Unplayable Chunderbucket Pile and what is it that I need to keep most central to this deck idea, honestly, that's pretty tough to answer. So, what I'm going to try to preserve is this hybrid Stompy combo aspect. So, I am going to try to be a Chalice of the Void Trinisphere deck while also being able to be a combo deck that is capable of cheating in some giant creatures. But we're going to make some pretty drastic changes to this one. After all, this deck was literally called Unplayable in its name. So we were maybe memeing too close to the sun on this one. But I think I've built something that is maybe playable adjacent. So here's what I came up with. So we're going to keep the blue-green core, although honestly, part of that just has to do with needing a cycling creature for the deck. Rather than the green creatures that were previously in this version, I'm going to try to go with Yggdrasil Rebirth Engine for that cheat creatures in effect. Now, since the playing of this previous deck, there are two similar green things that I could be playing in this slot instead. One is an uncounterable creature at the same cost as Champion of Ronas. I believe that was the name of that card. And the other is the Monster Manual. Both of those things would be reasonable things to do. But Yggdrasil, that's a mouthful, costs one less, at least on the surface. So when this enters, we're going to exile all creature cards from our graveyard, hence playing Generous Ent, as well as Malevolent Rumble. So then, for 4 mana, we can show and tell for a creature, but it gets haste. So we are going to have Yggdrasil, show and tell, and a single Arcane Artisan remained in the deck as our way to cheat in these creatures. We are going to be able to use Malevolent Rumble to find our creatures or put them into the graveyard, and since this can look for a permanent, this can also look for our lock pieces in the combo matchup, or help us find the Yggdrasil. We are going a little hard on fast mana here. I started out with Chrome Mox, and then I started looking at my blue count, and I was like, we're not so good with Chrome Mox for show and tell, are we? Because we end up imprinting an Atraxa a lot of the times since I add Yggdrasil into the deck. So we've got Lotus Petals and Spirit Guides to help us power out our lock pieces and our win conditions. The deck is a spiritual successor to what I played a few years back, but hopefully feels a bit smoother. Now, I obviously haven't played this one. I'm trying to follow some heuristics that I'm used to from deck building various Stompy decks. So if we kind of drag this all together, we are following that roughly 50% mana thing that you want to be doing for Stompy decks, but some of these things can double as spells in a pinch. As far as the sideboard goes, I think we're kind of memeing today, if I'm being honest, and I think that the meme works a lot less well once you start taking pieces out of it. So I'm not focusing too much on building a well-rounded sideboard. I'm not intending on sideboarding a lot in this league unless we're facing something unfair. So I've got some graveyard hate here. I've got some artifact hate here. But seeing as I am an artifact-centric deck, that is a little bit awkward. So when I bring in the Null Rods, I'm also going to bring in a couple copies of Arcane Artisan, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 for my 4 copies of Yggdrasil and still be a competent combo deck. I've got Brazen Borrower as the band-aid that'll solve whatever problem comes up. And I shoved some Emrakul's into the sideboard. I couldn't really figure out what to do with the last couple of slots. I wanted things with ETB triggers, and I wanted creatures that could hit the graveyard, and Emrakul wasn't hitting either one of those things. But sometimes my opponent is going to have a ton of permanents, and I just need to be able to wipe them out with Emrakul. So, buckle up. It is going to be a weird one. We'll see how good this ends up being. Here's Unplayable Chunderbucket Pile 2025, I guess. And folks, should you need any cards for this deck because you're an absolute mad lad or mad lass, check out TOAmagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. You're always going to get free shipping, and you can even expedite that shipping if you've got a tournament coming up and you need your cards right now. All right, let's battle. Well, shit, this looks like a legacy deck. This is a turn 2 show and tell for Archon of Cruelty. Assuming I don't get wastelanded or whatever. I honestly probably just want more land here. I will accept more mana. That lets me play around days. It's not the land that I want for stability, but I'll absolutely take it. We've got a Tundra. So bam, bam. We're going to attempt a show and tell around days. I fully do not expect this to resolve. And even if it does resolve, I don't know that an Archon of Cruelty is going to beat the Tundra deck. Esper deck. Force is fine. We will literally just try again next turn. Basic Swamp, Relic of Progenitus. That's a little unusual. So I think my opponent is a Ketramose deck based on seeing that. We'll just grab another Trop here. And we'll jam Show and Tell again. Opponent cracks Relic. Did you draw your answer? No, they did not. Okay, so my opponent's trigger resolves first. Is slightly unfortunate for me because their Orc is in play, and then this resolves from top to bottom. They're going to then get another Orc and ping me again. I've made my land drop, so I'll pass the turn. The Archon is a 2-turn clock. Again, from the Tundra deck, though, I'm fully expecting Swords to Plowshares to take my creature out. Sure. I mean, that's a hell of a turn for my opponent. So bam, I have 4, 5, 6 mana. So let's start here and start exiling cards. No sorcery speed restriction there. I think I'm also just going to play Arcane Artisan. Like, let's give my opponent some stuff to worry about, huh? The Arcane Artisan is less good with Bowmaster around, but hopefully I am doing something just fundamentally more broken than my opponent. And in this Swords to Plowshares matchup, this is exactly the sort of time that I am going to want Emrakul over probably Archon of Cruelty. So we can go ahead and take a block. We're only taking 1 damage here. Why the Artisan? This is 1 power? That feels like a missed point of damage. Yeah, that's a missed point of damage. So let's tap this and get an Elvish Spirit Guide into play. These are less good in multiples. Am I activating this? And if so, am I doing so at sorcery speed? I think I just wait. Tamiyo pluses. Opponent cracks their clue. You've got a ponder. So it should be... No, it's not safe to block. If I block, there's 2 of these triggers happening. I'm going to do this first. All right, I hit Generous Ent. That's something. Yeah, I'm just going to let that go through and then do the Arcane Artisan thing at my end step, just assuming that I don't actually have to worry about that Orc Army token all that much. So do this. Nice. So there is an Atraxa. You may absolutely do your Orcish Bowmaster trigger. So we're going to get Creature. land, artifact, sorcery. Sweet. You may bowmaster me. Elvish Spirit Guide's actually pretty darn good. So I would like to Chalice on 1, so Swords to Plowshares doesn't kill my cool cards. Alright, that has resolved. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to Punchies. I'm going to send in. I will kill my opponent's Tamiyo. Oh, my opponent has conceded. That's why. Sure. This deck might be good. Alright, so against my opponent's Swords to Plowshares deck, I think Archons are going to become Emrakul's. Otherwise, let's assume that my deck is beautiful and perfect and good. I think my hand here is sketchy. Chalice of the Void on 1 is obviously quite good in the matchup, but I have no Yggdrasil, no Show and Tell, no Arcane Artisan. I think I will ship this one. I would keep a hand of that caliber at around 6 cards. Try to believe? I'm gonna try to believe. This is not great. Gets improved by a ton of cards, though. A Soul Land, a Show and Tell, an Arcane Artisan, a Yggdrasil. Most things improve this hand. I think on 6 on the draw, I'm just going to keep that. That one does not improve this hand. Relic's fine. I want to not have another land. Yeah, they don't. I mean, that probably means that they have a bunch of interaction. I want Trop here so that I can always play Chalice this turn. Ooh, nice. Let's cast that. I think I'm going to go Chalice into Trinisphere. I can't do it the other way around. That is a Force of Negation and a Consign to Memory. Consign to Memory, quite good against my deck, I think. I've got relevant triggers. And opponent just cycles immediately. Yeah, they're stuck on land. These clue tokens don't matter if my opponent can't do a relevant follow-up. Go Gadget 3-ball when my opponent has 1 land. Alright. Daze is in their deck. Still no second land showing. I'm looking for Show and Tell type cards at this point. Tamiyo is going to turn into a Planeswalker, which starts ticking my opponent towards a victory condition. No mana. Oh, no, there is mana. That's a little unfortunate for me. Does my opponent need the land more, though? Sure. A lot of Atraxa. And this is what happens when you don't play the Brainstorm version of the deck, right? Like, sometimes this happens. You just don't select the cards properly. Opponent cracks a clue. Sure. So I know my opponent has Force of Will now. I don't super care about feeding them Ancient Tomb. Like, it's very clear that I just don't have spells to cast. So their Wasteland is probably more valuable on their side of the card table, just drawing cards. So we're going to throw down a Chalice on 1. I know my opponent has a Force of Will in hand. They could just use it on this. And they will. And I lose the Chalice from Graveyard. We've got a Brainstorm on the other side of the table. Opponent's deck must be incredibly land light. Like, they are through a third of their deck and have looked at extra cards beyond that. And have a Tundra and a Wasteland to show for it. I wonder if they have gotten greedy because they are playing extra cantrips in the form of relics. I do not imagine that this is resolving, but I've absolutely got to try. Oh, shit. Well, we've got something going here. Opponent picks up a Force of Will now. They could have done that last turn at the cost of their Tamiyo and stopped this from happening. I don't know what the rest of their hand looks like. Are they now discarding 2 cards? No, they've got a Wasteland to play. Sure. Seems like that is just objectively the wrong one. This is 4 mana for activating Yggdrasil. What is that? Malevolent Rumble, Show and Tell, Ancient Tomb. Those aren't ideal. Cool. I will Chalice on 1 here. Opponent forces that. One of my current problems is that, statistically speaking, I have a bunch of my big monsters in hand. It's a little hard to get lucky and hit with Yggdrasil here. Do this. Okay, there's an Emrakul under there now. Let's draw a Soul Land, huh? Nope. So Tamiyo's at 6. I guess it's fine to keep doing this. That's not what we're looking for. Cameo's at 8. Go ahead and activate this. Let's find a soul land. It's a regular land. Not worth casting something like Trinisphere here. Now my opponent is at 16. 16 and 15 are different. Not a land. One more Force of Will effect, though. Kind of fucks my opponent up. I just want to have an Archon under here. Variety's sake. If this gets Brazen Borrowered out of play, I will concede. Now that is an ETB tapped land. So that's not what I am looking for here. I don't really need that. But that does mean I get to Emrakul next turn. You can Bowmaster me or whatever. Still no fetch land. Life total is 16. I think there is some world where I have to worry about decking. I'm going to stop activating this. That's fine. Oh, there was a Ketramose discarded, by the way. So my initial inkling of that's why my opponent is playing Relics was correct. All right. Cool. Fetch. Drop. Activate. Emrakul. Combat. I will just attack you directly. I will only be dealing 14 this turn. But then I've got things covered. Maybe I should have activated one more time, because now an Archon trigger is lethal. Shit, this doesn't go away. Forgot about that. I had kind of a lag-related vacation for a little while. Yeah, we just fucking beat a Tamiyo emblem with our meme deck. Hot damn. Now, admittedly, it is turn 14, and my opponent was, like, very much stumbling. I don't know what their land count was, but it feels like it was not enough. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to host your online deck lists, and I don't think it's close. I think it's wonderfully organized, and you can have a great system of folders so that you can go through, separate your decks by whatever you want. I separate mine by format. I have just a few legacy decks, and Moxfield is able to keep track of all the decks that even someone like me makes. So please consider checking them out. Let's try to believe. Let's try to believe. This does just have the potential to effectively win me the game on turn 2 if I'm a little bit lucky. All right. Bam. I use a Spirit Guide here to cast this. All right. We are in play. I will just pass the turn here. Damn it. Yeah. So there's a second ritual. That's 4 mana or a spy. Now my opponent wins. I'm just going to take a quick look here. Memory's Journey. Otherwise, it is a base black build. I'll just concede here. But for shits and giggles, let's draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I would have attacked for 5 and then attacked for 10 with this. That's a legacy power level hand, like, very, very easily. All right, that's what this shit is for. Yeah. We could, I guess, do that, but I don't know that I want to. Emrakul is probably not better than these other ones here. I need to board out 5 cards. Artisan is slow. Malevolent Rumble can find Fairy and Trinispheres. That's a thing. Matchup is probably fast enough that I don't need Generous Ent. I am largely just hoping to open on Leyline of the Void 2 games in a row, and my opponent miraculously does not answer it. We will believe in Malevolent Rumble. You know, I just noticed this isn't the normal Leyline of the Void art I use. Normally I use the, like, lines going out one. This one's sweet too, though. So we'll start with 2 Leylines in play. Opponent is on 6 cards. Bam, bam. Fetch. Drop. I wonder if I wanted to slow down a turn there. Ooh. I probably just take Ancient Tomb. It's tough because, like, this gives me 1 of the 2 mana that I need towards Yggdrasil. But one of the things my opponent is most likely to do here is just Cabal Therapy or Duress Me or whatever. And if I put that card in my hand, then I'm pretty far away from a potential show and tell. Well, the Null-Rods look okay right now. Lol. Wait. This is fine, right? Yeah, this should be fine. Anyway, that's why we took Ancient Tomb. Yeah, that was the concern. Let's see if I die. I am a mana away from dead. Ball Ritual. That's dead. Yep, there's some of that Null Rod awkwardness for you. GG's. Alright, my opening hand is 100% a keep. And depending on what we are playing against, we can change the pace of the game a little bit. So if my opponent shows either combo or blue here, well, that's obviously suspicious. Drop, Forest Cycle, drop. Anyway, finishing the thought from earlier, if I suspect that my opponent is a combo deck, I just play a Trinisphere prior to a show and tell, and I just have 3 mana to do my show and tell thing afterwards. Are we conceding the game? Not yet. I need to go get my door. Anyway, now I am thinking about whether or not it is correct to just play Yggdrasil, since my opponent can't play anything. I think I just do this and don't give my opponent a chance to put in some weirdo card that just wins the game by itself. Yeah, just 0 chances when I'm in a near 100% to win situation. I'm probably not sideboarding. It's possible my opponent has something dumb like Oops All Spells, and I should just like preemptively bring in Leyline of the Void. Like, they mulled to 5 and kept a hand with no lands. That's almost assuredly a sign of combo. But I think there's enough variety of combo that I'm not 100% comfortable doing that. What about this? Just turn 1 Chalice. Any mana source makes this hand insane. I think so. I don't know that I would keep this normally, but I'm pretty convinced that my opponent is a combo deck. And they were stone cold dead to Trinisphere last time around. They're on 5. Yeah, okay. Sure. Alright, so we can take a quick look at my opponent's deck and then concede. So there's a couple Nature's Claims, but generally speaking, if I start the game with a Leyline in play, they're in trouble. Spooky. Now, my opponent could Charbelch me this game. So I think last time around I pulled the Generous Ents for Leylines. I think I pulled the Arcane Artisan for being slow. If I want to play Null Rod to hedge against Charbelcher, I should do this and play 2 Arcane Artisans. This is not fast enough for this opponent. So this is Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, 1 colorless mana floating, Malevolent Rumble into Null Rod. I think a Graveyard Hate hand with Leyline is better than this. This hand is incredibly good. Yeah, absolutely. This Leyline of the Void and Trinisphere on turn 1. I think I keep this, but I'm pitching lands here. There's Leyline in play, Lotus Petal, City, and 3 ball. And we'll see how long my opponent wants to play this one out. I'm not doing a ton in the short term. Alright. Float mana, fetch, drop. This goes away. Green mana, Malevolent Rumble. I will just pick up Ancient Tomb here. That solves my mana problems for the future. I will still probably need to assemble an A+B without Yggdrasil here. So my opponent's most important card they could draw is probably Nature's Claim. So let's shut that off. Obviously attack with the spawn token. Get that damage in where it matters. And now we play Drago for a little while until I find something that kills my opponent. Yeah. I'd also just like hard cast a Generous Ent if I draw one. Beat my opponent to death with a 5/7 or whatever the fuck it is. That's not castable. I guess we can keep track of what my opponent is discarding. Chalice, incidentally, also taking these out is reasonable. So now Arcane Artisan can start drawing me cards. So now I should find a way to win pretty quickly. 17. The 3 mana Lotus Petal. Feels bad. Alright, so I will Hedge Maze to Surveil, see if my top card is a creature. It's not. We'll bin it. I'll draw a card. I don't really need this spawn anymore. I have 0 ability to cast this, so that can just go. Next turn I can Malevolent Rumble into an activation. That gets me pretty deep. That's a Charbelcher. I could lose. So I'll Malevolent Rumble looking for Null Rod. Miss. Grab a Spirit Guide. I'll activate Arcane Artisan here. Okay. Put in Atraxa. Use Atraxa to find Null Rod. No. Wow. We went real deep there looking for it and just missed. Yeah, I can hit my opponent for 7. Then Charbelcher is lethal. Can't blow up a land. Yeah, I think we just looked at like 16 cards and whiffed. Cast Show and Tell. Okay. Show and Tell. Atraxa. Spirit Guide. Lotus Petal. Leyline of the Void. Oh no, I'm lagging. Show and Tell, Atraxa, Lotus Petal. Yeah, that lagged through some stuff there. I'll put in a new Atraxa. I don't think I can get enough mana. Yeah, I can't get enough mana here. I've made a land drop, right? Ancient Tomb, Spirit Guide, Null Rod. Let's see if I've made a land drop. Oh shit, I haven't made a land drop. I'm a genius. I am so good at Magic. Get Atraxa. That was a pretty impressive line. So we dug 2 Atraxas, that's 20, plus 5 with Malevolent Rumble, plus 1 with Draw Step, plus 1 with Arcane Artisan to get that win. Woo! Alrighty. So we've got a Show and Tell for an Archon relatively quickly here. I don't have a lot going on besides that as of right now. We'd like to do this Show and Tell around days. So let's just go Island Pass with the intention of cycling for a Basic Forest. Basic Forest sounding real good. Take 1, 19. This is going to be a lot of pressure. So yeah, Basic. I guess I am already Show and Telling around days this turn. All right, let's do it. It's Force of Will, unfortunately. I don't care about being wastelanded, but I do care about the fact that I don't have anything else cool going on. See if Delver flips. Delver flips to Daze. Just kind of passively keep that in mind. I'll get wastelanded. Again, we don't care about that. I care about the 4-6 damage per turn cycle that I'm going to be taking. I mean, we know there's days. I have an answer to that. The Ancient Tomb not feeling particularly strong here. Alright, so there's the known days. We'll dismiss that. Murktide going to Yard, but there was already a creature there. Pay for that. Now, is there another piece of interaction beyond that? Shit. I mean, this hand had Force of Will, Daze, Force of Will with 2 creatures. Yeah, we're probably not beating that now. DRC, amazingly, is still a 1-1 despite multiple surveils. I am taking 4. I'm very near death. 4, 5, 6. Surveil land, in theory, not great if I want to try to continue to play around soft permission. Or if I ignore days, I do a surveil land here. But in the instances where this becomes a larger creature, then I can't do this or this. So I think I just make a normal ass land drop. So now we're going to see if I am taking 6 or 4. Taking 6 is real bad. It's surveilled the graveyard, but not a new type. That's not a wasteland. Is it a bolt? It's a bolt. 3, 6, 7, dead. I mean, we did 2 win attempts on, I think, turn 2 and turn 3. Can't ask for too much more from this deck. I don't know that I'm sideboarding. Brazen Borrower is basically the only thing that I'm realistically looking at. It just takes a little bit of pressure off of me in the early game. I think when I'm on the play, I'm going to keep my Trinispheres, and when I am on the draw, Trinisphere is a lot less good. I'm going to consider cutting that for some Brazen Borrowers and Arcane Artisans. Okay. I can jam on 1. I think I will. It's incredibly high upside if this works. My opponent may have kept a hand based on the strength of days, or maybe not. I think when I can just go on 1, it is probably correct to do so. Specifically one when I am on the play, and Days is not a reasonable Magic the Gathering card yet. So let's preemptively Forest Cycle, grab a Trop, play a Hedge Maze, and now we're looking for some 3-mana win condition. Yeah, there we go. So I can do that one next turn around Days, hopefully. So now I can jam it into Days and attempt to go off, or give my opponent more time to draw hard counterspells if they don't already have them. I think I'm just going. I think I just don't want to give my opponent time. I mean, they've had Force. This deck has been surprisingly good at putting up multiple win attempts, but opponent's got a giant pile of counterspells there. I have very few things that stop them. Alright. We'll see how much we end up taking from Delver before I draw some mana. Yikes, it's Days too. I think we're getting Delvered, folks. That's not currently worth casting. Once I draw another land, I can Malevolent Rumble. New land drop. I'll take a Lightning Bolt worth of damage. I'm at 14. I've unfortunately drawn another Atraxa. That means we're taking at least 3 more points of damage, plus my opponent has the chance to do some more selection for counterspells. Things looking very bad. That means 1 more Lightning Bolt of damage. My opponent almost assuredly has 2 counterspells now. Oh. Am I just dead now? Well, at this point we're casting spells. I'll pay with Spirit Guide if I have to. So it's got to be Trop to hand. Can't take the show and tell. It has to be a permanent. Now we just do this thing again, I guess. Yeah. Alright, opponent dazes, which I will pay for. I will take a Spirit Guide, I guess. I need to have 3 mana for show and tell next turn after I get wastelanded. Alright, I am dead now. GG's. Alright, I'm keeping my opening hand here. I can go at some speed, depending on what I am expecting from my opponent. Sure. Against that, we can probably just jam on 1 and start trying to do our thing. So yeah, 3 mana immediately, pass turn, and now we just hope to hit a creature within a decent number of cards. If I thought I could make this game go slower, I could have cycled Generous Ent first to guaranteed put something under there. But my opponent is probably going to do depths things relatively quickly. So do this. Oh, Archon under there. Fantastic. So now we just need to get to 4 mana. So we will go ahead and Forest Cycle here. We'll pick up a Hedge Maze. I will Hedge Maze. That can stay on top to go under Yggdrasil. But in retrospect, maybe I should have activated this first. So Flagstones happens. Now opponent will tutor for an air quotes real land. I'm looking for an Ancient Tomb or City of Traders. Wasteland's great for my opponent. Now activate this. Now we've got some options under here. And now we're stuck in the short term, which is scary because now my opponent... we're dead. So in case you're not familiar with this, Yavimaya can make Dark Depths tap for mana. So my opponent can now make their creature immediately. And I am dead to that. We did not get to 4 mana as a follow-up for this. We had the creature that we needed under there, though. Okay, my Chalice of the Void and Trinisphere style cards are not great here. I think I am probably going to get rid of at least Trinisphere. That can give me Brazen Borrower. And I think this is a matchup where I probably want to be able to Emrakul. Let's do that. Do I want some Chalice of the Void? It still hits stuff. Oh, I guess I have boarded out 8 and boarded in 2. So I guess I'm going to keep Chalice of the Void and play some Arcane Artisan to round things out. Okay. I have a hand. It's fine. The issue is that Elvish Reclaimer can come down on 1, and then my opponent might not need to cast spells for the remainder of the game, which is why I am just not that excited about Chalice as a card, generally speaking. Sure, that's fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and hedge Maze here, even though it opens me up to Wasteland. Yes. We will show and tell. I am into that. Probably Emrakul. Rough. I wanted to play around Swords to Plowshares type cards, and thus chose Emrakul, but Knight of the Reliquary for Karakas is going to beat Emrakul. Opponent does not have Karakas. Sweet! We won! So now, no, my opponent does not have Karakas, and I also learned that they have some more mid-range stuff than I was expecting. Do I want to just forego Chalice of the Void and just play 4 Atraxas in those spots and just have the greatest chance of assembling Show and Tell, Arcane Artisan, or Yggdrasil plus Deuter? It'll make me worse against Swords to Plowshares, but feels fine. I'm a little light on mana. I think I keep it. I'm on the draw here. I get bonus cards. I think it's fine. It's maybe not good, but I think it's fine. Oh, it got even better. So we're just looking for mana now. That's mana. Fantastic. So I have a turn 2 Show and Tell if I do not get Wastelanded. Did not get Wastelanded. So Emrakul worked last time. So let's do Emrakul again. That is a crop rotation in response. Oh, do you have Rebs? Yeah, they have Rebs. Got it. I mean, I'll just try again in another turn cycle or 2. Not the end of the world. And if my opponent taps out for something like Knight of the Reliquary, I can Brazen Borrower it back to hand in the short term. Is Malevolent Rumble just better here than putting this into play immediately when I still need more mana afterwards? I think this is just better. Yes. Generous Ent is actually quite good here. I think I just Forest Cycle this now. Pick up the other Hedge Maze. Hedge Maze. A new Malevolent Rumble. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's okay. It's probably not as strong as just drawing Show and Tell, but my opponent could have more Rebs, like they're not actively casting things. This gives me a chance to potentially get a good creature into my graveyard. It also could hit an Emrakul and shuffle the Generous Ent out, which would be inconvenient. I'm going to take a Spirit Guide. So there's a mana, Lotus Petal, play Yggdrasil. That's going to exile multiple Generous Ents. Those have Reach, which is relevant for Merit Lage blocking. What's their other keyword? No, it's food stuff. That's right. Inskin Boo? The Green Sun for X equals 3. There's probably going to be like a Rex Sage. I'm going to activate this now in case it's just a collector oof that is overpaid for. Oh wow, it's just Knight of the Reliquary. Sure. Tempo play? Just Brazen Borrower, bounce this, try to fish a better creature with this. I can do that 2 turns in a row. I think I'm into that. Fantastic. If I spike a Soul Land and get to 6 mana, I can do some very silly Arcane Artisan things. Alright. Opponent redoes that. Maze of Ith, sure. Yeah, so the Archons and Atraxas of the world are quite good. Lots of Generous Ent under there. That's all 4 Generous Ents. Yeah, let's just take the same line as last turn. Just keep that out of play and pass. I could technically cast a Brazen Borrower now, but again, in the face of Maze of Ith, that's not super exciting. And any 1 mana source is just going to give me... Okay, not anymore. Yeah, that's fine. Any 1 mana source was going to give me Arcane Artisan plus Activate in a single turn cycle. There's Knight once again. Activate this. That's just a bunch of land. Unfortunate. That'll do. Oh wait, I can't count. It's not 3 to activate, it's 4 to activate. Oops. That's fine. I might be at the point of the game where I just do the 4 mana ability at my end step. Yeah, you can have that 1 point of damage. 19. And then we'll see what Knight is doing. It's probably just Wasteland on Ancient Tomb. Seems like I was correct. Oh, no, that is not... Oh, whatever, I found an Emrakul, it's fine. That is not what I wanted. Oh, right. The other one can only be activated at sorcery speed. That's why that happened. I guess I was always committed to that line. All right, cool. Now I didn't even have to crack that. So here we go. We're going to go for the Emrakul. It did not seem like my opponent had Karakas in their deck previously. So we will crash in for 15, Annihilator 6. All right, opponent is going for keeping a giant Knight of the Reliquary, but it's not big enough to kill me in one shot. So I guess I don't know what they're playing towards. Okay, the answer was they were not playing towards anything. And we put up a positive finish with this kind of crazy brew. All right, Andrew, so how do we feel about this upgrade of Unplayable Chunderbucket Pile? Honestly, it was really good. This has taken what the original wanted to be, which was a stompy deck that is also a combo deck, and given it a little bit of selection while also lowering the curve on the abilities of a lot of these cards. Yggdrasil was pretty good over the course of this league. Sometimes we turboed it out and we did not get the 4 mana to activate it afterwards, but it was relatively strong. I'm a little unsure about the whole Emrakul thing. The Malevolent Rumble, Generous, and Synergy stuff with Yggdrasil, I think is relevant. So I still wanted to have access to these. I think they're fine in the sideboard. But I would view this as a starting point rather than a finished deck. But this seems like a deck that you are going to have a lot of fun playing if you bring it to something like an FNM, and you're going to get a lot of like, oh, wow, cool. Oh, I've never seen that one sort of things from it. I'm going to give this a thumbs up. This was a successful brew. A lot of times they aren't successful. We've had a couple of 04, 05 leagues recently, and this one worked. So if you need your Yggdrasils, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. I have to do my final packing for MagicCon Chicago, and then I will be getting on a plane tomorrow morning. See ya.